Welcome to the most intense monthly news recap over the past 6 months. Today you will discover all what happened in CG, VFX and related fields during March. Major release of tyFlow 2.0 with fluid simulation capabilities, lots of good, bad and super bad news for AI, wave of Autodesk releases, layoffs and the whole studio shutdown, first unsure steps of Apple in CG industry. This and many more are what made this month absolutely crazy. So let's begin with the news recap of March 2026. tyFlow 2.0, on my personal opinion, was the biggest banger of this month, and there are two reasons for that. First one, simply no one was expected for 2.0, and the second one, adding a fluid simulation capabilities was damn surprising. This incredible tool is one of the campfires which unites 3D Max users community and at the same time gives absolutely insane level of flexibility in FX field. Through the last few years it acquired many cool features. In addition to the core particles, rigid bodies and destruction systems, we got close dynamics, grains, crowd simulations, terrain generation, and now we have a fire and smoke. This new block of tools is called Zenith and developed by a former developer of PhoenixFD, Svetlin Nikolov, in collaboration with tyFlow developers team. The key feature of Zenith tools is 100% GPU orientation. That's why the simulation speed is just sick. Even my 4060 demonstrates nearly real-time and high-detailed results at the same time. But don't worry for the GPU memory limitations. Even though for huge-scale simulations it is recommended to run on 24GB GPU, if you have cheaper setup, once the video memory is full, simulation will continue on CPU and RAM instead of stop or crash. Additionally, it stores simulated cache in the system memory, so playback of the fluids does not require resimulations and it just reads from RAM. Considering all this and viewport visualization features and incredible flexibility and adjustability of every single parameter of the nodes, tyFlow 2 and Zenith gives you true real-time sandbox experience of play with fluids and unleashing your creativity at 100%. NVIDIA this month shocked all media communities, showcasing their coming soon DLSS 5 technology. The thing that was born to help with upscaling, later for reflections and lighting improvements, also for significant FPS boost, until today, even though was using AI technology, but was working over the real rendered frame data. With DLSS version 5, this wall is going to be demolished, and it starts to rethink and rebuild entire image on your screen. At this moment, we can split its features into two groups. First, work over the scene lighting, shaders and in general atmosphere, and the second one, characters transformation. Once demonstration was over, whole internet swarmed every social media to express their opinions. DLSS version 5 has divided community unlike any previous versions. Positive feedbacks was mostly focusing on scene and atmosphere improvements and shader work. Also, it works well for poor quality characters, that is typical for Bethesda and could be seen in their latest installment like Starfield. It was a good choice by NVIDIA to showcase this feature on this game. Those horrible lifeless plastic faces under DLSS 5 turns into still lifeless but looks way better human being characters. The opposition to this technology has a bit longer list of complaints and criticism. In addition, it generated just incredible amount of memes. If to summarize the negative side, the main point here is an invasion into the design of either location or characters. From the Instagram beauty filter to a complete drift away from the original person, like aging where it was not expected. Environments are shifting in the mood setting, from cold to warm, from flat to extremely punchy and opposite. And this raises a question how developers should control these variations in order to stop breaking certain mood or concept. Technical side is also very unclear. The demonstration was performed on a pair of 5090 where one GPU was actually rendering images and the second one doing AI job. I don't think it is worth to be mentioned that this seems like a pricey feature. On my opinion, if they won't make it accessible for at least on upper mid-level segment single GPU, it will barely take off. What terrifies personally me is where do we go with such a technology? Imagine that DLSS 5 will be completely accepted and implemented with all its current features. What are the next steps, especially for the movie industry? What if systems like DLSS 5 will be used for films to age and de-age actors? Oh, sorry, we're already doing this. And how about complete look change, gender, race, speak language with lip sync? We may enter a super slope era where watching a raw material without any political or social trends adjustments will be just weird. Maxon has announced their collaboration with Chinese megacorporation Tencent, which will result in adding Tencent's AI 3D engine to Cinema4D. This will bring an ability to generate 3D models with text prompts or reference images right inside this app. There are some mismatch in how both companies describe this output material. I have a separate video on my channel about that. To keep this news recap compact, I skip it here and highly recommend you to watch that video for additional information. Official description by Maxon says Tencent 3D engine allows users to speed up early stages of prototyping, and later these models could be adjusted by real artists. Capabilities of this AI model gives an option to generate models with UV, textures and even rigs, which is really nice for early stages of production when it is vital to have more options to choose from. Comparing with other competitors, Tencent's AI engine is capable to produce a bit more detailed models than, for example, Autodesk Flow Studio, which we will discuss a bit later in this video. Besides this collaboration, Maxon announced an iPad version for Cinema4D. Seems like a definite trend among professional software. ZBrush, Blender and now Cinema4D are coming to this Apple tablet PC. Autodesk is keeping their traditions for March and rolled out updates for their media set of software. This month we received versions 2027 for 3D Max, Maya and MudBox. Let's keep the most insane for final and begin with Maya. New version of this golden standard animation app brings lots of updates and new features across different areas, from modeling and animation to rendering and effects. Modeling Maya artists, if they exist of course, might enjoy new Smart Bevel system. Unlike the classical one, Smart Bevel follows mesh surface rather than topology, therefore it leads to more clean results at non-perfect edge skeleton or mess after Boolean operations. Huge community of riggers in Maya should definitely enjoy the news about third-party rigging tool integration and G-Skin tools. A year ago, Autodesk bought the technology and IP behind it, which was announced by its developer Viktoras Makauskas. No more fighting against the app during characters rigging with its basic tools. Now we have this new non-destructive layer-based approach skinning tool with additional new features for masking and mirroring on weights painting. Another pillar of Maya animation gets some updates to the sequencer in this new version. Along with quality of life features like color and text labels, thumbnails for shots to organize the editing timeline just like we do in Adobe Premiere, sequencer received options for such a core editing tools like trim and rescale by dragging the shot edges. Additionally, new Play Plus features for reviewing purposes. But this is not all for animation in this new version. Another huge update involves AI capabilities. Motion Maker generative animation system now works with horses or other animals with horse-type dynamics. Great solution for draft versions, layout stages or just low-cost projects. Unlike typically uneditable AI output, Motion Maker gives fantastic flexibility, easy to set up on start, easy to adjust in the middle, and options to manually redo with classical keyframe animation in the final stage of work. At this time we have three archetypes for motion generation: human beings, dogs and horses. Among other new features for Maya, look the FX 2.0 for FX Artist Bifrost 3.0 with lots of new features including small-scale liquid simulations at high precision with new surface tension settings. Arnold Render reached version 7.5, which doesn't have significant innovations. Most valuable of them were added last month. Check for February news recap for more details. And now the most crazy feature, AI chatbot inside Maya app was added in 2027 version, just like Windows Copilot but to interact with CG app. No need to mention what's the destiny of Copilot now. Autodesk Assistant is having just a first appearance in this version and it will take a time to measure users' perception. While the ultimate goal is to automate some tasks and set interaction via natural language commands, for now it's just an advanced search machine that browses Autodesk documentation and answers simple questions like how to do something. 3D Max has pretty same feature list, just shorter. Same smart bevel as for Maya, but with the only difference that I would add here, modeling features seems like more valuable for 3D Max. Directional extrude, spline chamfer and noise plus modifier with interesting but barely groundbreaking effects. New field helper with a quite nice motion graphic potentials if anyone does that in 3D Max though. For some reason Autodesk added new features to customize viewport grid, same Autodesk AI Assistant as for Maya and identical Arnold updates. Considering all this, 3D Max in version 2027 looks like unloved child. But that's nothing compared to what they did with MudBox this year. If you ask me why, the answer is nothing. Seriously, MudBox 2027 is absolutely same as MudBox 2026. And if you want to know what could be even worse, they are doing nothing with MudBox for 6 years in a row. Besides the icon design change and version number, the patch notes are so minor that usually replaced with a note, bug fixing and optimization. And this is not the end. Cherry on top. Autodesk raised the annual subscription price for $5 and now MudBox 2027 costs $105 for 1 year. Indeed, we are not going to see Autodesk Media Department layoffs like they did for marketing because they don't have it. Sydney Satie pleased Maya users with their famous simulation plugin FumeFX version 7. There are nothing exceptional compared to 3D Max version, which is quite ahead and stays at 7.5 milestone. FumeFX 7 is built around new CUDA-based GPU software, which makes simulation job really comfortable and satisfying by its extremely high speed and in some cases almost real-time. Comparison with CPU mode is absolutely mind-blowing. In addition, Viewport is able to visualize shadows now and improving the feel of volumes. Similar to what we have in mentioned before Zenith tools, FumeFX can also switch back to CPU once the video memory is full, preventing stop or crash. But in addition to this, FumeFX can pre-allocate RAM memory during CPU mode, which gives additional 10 to 15% of the simulation speed increase. Recommended GPU memory volume is 24 GB. Twinmotion, a popular in the architecture community real-time 3D visualization engine powered by Unreal, has reached version 2026. Comparing to the Autodesk naming, it feels like a last year's release, but in fact, the Twinmotion developers EpicGames simply are not using this marketing trick. 2026.1 patch notes includes several nice features. AutoSoft Edges option is priceless for saving GPU memory on poly count by applying a smooth edge illusion over the sharp low poly models. New set of effects like fire, smoke, water, and in addition all of them are adjustable for matching your scene. New foliages models from European tree pack. Match perspective feature with options to cast shadows. Lighting channels exclude lists speaking in 3D Max users language. New camera options like autofocus and file management improvements. GPU requirements for high-end projects in Twinmotion are focused on VRAM capacity, and it is recommended to have at least 12 GB GPU. Note that Intel graphics cards are not officially supported. Speaking of GPU rendering engines, in March we got an update for Octane 2. Autodesk company released version 2027 alpha of their popular visualization app. This version goes in parallel with their stable 2026 releases, but alpha version let us try new outstanding feature – Neural Rendering Mode. This new feature is built around NRC system Neural Radiance Cache, and it is trained via neural network during rendering time to reduce noises. AI-based denoising feature, in other words. Toy company described this as nearly noiseless rendering, even under extremely heavy conditions like complex lighting setup and subsurface scattering materials. This system is based on two rendering technologies, NVIDIA DLSS and Autodesk's own research. It is worth to be mentioned that Octane Render also supports two upscalers DLSS 4 and AMD FSR 3, but in terms of hardware, despite mention above FSR, Octane requires NVIDIA GPU, and it is mandatory, since Octane is a CUDA-based app. Additionally, Octane 2027 is capable for geometry export in USD format and has another smaller improvements. Standalone rendering engine KeyShot got an update to the version 2026.1 this month too. This popular CPU-GPU ray tracing renderer for portfolio visualization got several new features and extended existing capabilities. Animation. A new pair frame toggle which allows to adjust the curves in between the keyframes, and an option to set up multiple custom pivot points for different parts of the model. AI capabilities are also here. Introduced in the previous versions, AI Shots was updated with the new options to edit already generated images. An edit mode allows to in Paint completely replace or upscale images. Also, it was replaced all language model with the new Alibaba's Qwen AI. Note, another Chinese giant company's AI engine made a nest in the professional CG software. New Gallery tab for organizing and convenient browsing rendered files right from the KeyShot app. And another trendy little features like OpenPBR materials support in imported USD files and improved GPU rendering performance. Continuing the topic of AI features within a professional ecosystem. Along with mentioned earlier 2027 wave of updates, Autodesk has added new generative AI capabilities to their Autodesk Flow Studio. Few years ago, introduced Flow Studio became a pioneer app in AI segment for Autodesk. At its launch, the primary goal was to let users easily do a motion capture via markerless AI mockup technology instead of expensive and time-consuming professional way, and to add their CG characters into their live-action footage. This month, Autodesk added something similar we just saw for Cinema4D. Asset creation with a natural language commands or reference images. According to the promo videos, we know that output includes unknown topology models with textures, yet we have no any signs of options for rigs, as we saw at Maxon's software. Autodesk states that these assets are more like a prototyping placeholders and, in other words, built for iteration, not a perfection. I am curious if their software for perfection has any plans to evolve. This is hilarious to watch how Autodesk, while nearly neglecting their professional media software for modeling and sculpting, introduces with so much passion these asset generation AI tools. It's like if famous horse saddle company would advertise tires or gas stations. A place where it is really nice to see AI-driven tools these days is a roto masking. This S-Paint time-consuming type of work requires endless amount of focus and patience. VFX artist and tool developer Evgeny Shatsky has released ONYX Ai Matte 2.5, its GPU-accelerated plugin for generating mates for characters or objects from a video footage. Available for DaVinci Resolve, Fusion Studio and Nuke, ONYX Ai Matte allows users to choose with a raw selection or even a text prompt what object to work with, and it will generate a production quality mate, skipping hours or even days of hard work. There are still minor issues for manual fixes like tracking markers from the background or other garbage elements, but this is nothing comparing to how much time that would take to do by hands, considering absolutely zero reusability in case of any change in the input material, like another short take. Priceless tool, figuratively speaking, costs €80 for indie license. Note that it requires NVIDIA graphics card with CUDA cores. And another asset generation AI tool from this month, but this time with no any fancy promo videos, and in fact nearly silently showcased on the developer's GitHub. Interesting part here is who is the developer of this, not even a tool yet, but language model, and this is Apple, and language model called LiTO. Yes, that Apple famous for the marketing of this, and even this. It looks like a preparation for the annual International Conference on Learning Representations, ICLR, that will take place in Brazil on April. And later we might see complete service unknowns or release. Interesting facts from the description of this model is that LiTO, unlike other generative tools, is trying not just recreate flat surfaces but also to replicate its speculars, and that is quite confusing. I used to think that this is what actually you need to avoid during scanning, for example, because it's supposed to be a dynamic reaction of the surface to a certain light condition in your scene, rather than something baked into the texture. Anyway, let's wait for the Apple's announce. Who knows, maybe it will be a new feature for an iPhone 18 coming later this year. Acquisition news. Just in the last day of the month it was announced that BorisFX company, most famous for Sapphire visual plugins, Mocha Pro, Synthesize and several pro-level audio apps, in March has bought video editing app Vegas Pro, also known before as Sony Vegas, and two audio apps also, SoundForge and Acid Pro. The biggest piece of cake here is the editing app Vegas Pro. It is well appreciated app as more comfortable alternative to Adobe Premiere and widely used by video bloggers. Vegas made its community while being owned by Sony, and in 2016 was sold to German company Magix, and now 10 years later it joins BorisFX creative ecosystem. Smart move for BorisFX, that's strengthening their position in VFX and audio production area and makes their toolset as all-in-one multi-tool for content creation. From acquisitions to shutting down, sad news shook the entire industry in the mid-March. Sony is shutting down Pixomondo, world-famous Emmy and award-winning studio with close relations with some film directors, and studio which not just made marvelous effects for popular films and TV series like John Wick and Game of Thrones, but popularized and proved virtual production potentials as a new approach for shooting and VFX production. Awarded with a Guinness World Record for the biggest virtual production volume, the studio, which consists of 7 offices scattered worldwide and approximately 700 employees. Impressive long film and award list starting from 2008, and all this describes a studio which is going to disappear and its technologies to be consumed by a giant mother company, Sony. We still have a hope that teams will be adopted by other studios like it was with other closed studios in past, or like MPC for example, which was partly revived. We still have a time. Pixomondo will keep operating until all current contracts will be accomplished. I have a separate video for this case here on my channel, check that out for more details. Another big company performed a shutdown in March. This time it was more like a scam one and generated zero level of sorrow. Mark Zuckerberg recorded its 60 billion losses and announced a shutdown of his visionary project Metaverse, an alternative or next generation of the current existing internet and even new way of the human activity. It was planned to be a virtual reality world which you can visualize as some kind of popular MMO game where the locations are endless and contains whole internet, every page and every platform or service. It was supposed that people will meet each other, commit their work, get paid, spend, entertain and create all within a metaverse wearing a VR helmet. Looking back in 2021, it was so much confidence about this new technology, so many big names were involved, so much belief that this is going to be a revolution, bigger than inventing of internet, even bigger than industrial revolution 250 years ago. Shocking news, headlines about first multi-million investments, and a feeling that you are missing the departing train by ignoring this. Remember that? Is there anything familiar now in 2026? One more shutdown with no sorrow or regrets. Another visionary man, Sam Altman, and his company OpenAI closed their popular AI video generation service, Sora. Released in November 2025, Sora 2 had a very good feedback among AI users community. The most powerful imagination engine ever built. This is how Sam Altman was describing Sora 2 in the announcement video. And nobody will deny that. Physics was fine, body dynamics pretty much correct most of the time. Effects like particles, liquids or fire consistent and realistic as for the real-time footage. And in addition, videos were generating with a sound and voices, more or less even lip-sync was alright. Despite high users' activity on start, quickly Sora began to lose attention. Meanwhile, it was still burning $1 million every day as it was investigated by the Wall Street Journal just recently. Meanwhile, the main competitor, Anthropic, was focusing software engineering segment for AI usage that can generate income and be profitable. Possibly this was a paradigm change from killing Hollywood, now they are falling in love with vibe coding. Speaking of Hollywood, shutting down of Sora app triggered termination of their contract with Disney. According to this document, Disney was allowing Sora users to generate AI content over their franchise's characters like Mickey Mouse, Moana, Star Wars. And moreover, Sora 2 was supposed to be used as a tool for content creation for Disney Plus network. Additionally, Disney was investing $1 billion into OpenAI with rights to purchase bigger share in the future under the fixed price. All this was automatically cancelled. And what a coincidence, official position of the new Disney CEO Josh D'Amaro, which replaced Bob Iger just months ago, sounds very opposite to this signed contract with OpenAI just 3 months ago. AI will not replace human creativity while he is a Disney CEO. The reason this company is so special is because how creative we are and the human beings that are generating that creativity. In my mind, that never gets happen. What a fantastic turnaround, isn't it? And one more sad news from March came right out of the EpicGames office. Tim Sweeney sent an internal note that announced another round of layoffs in this company. It is happening again, and this time 1,000 people will have to leave. Film and game industries are having a dark days now, since COVID pandemic, when most of the studios were furiously bloating with the new stuff, now has a backlash. Weaker consumer spendings, hardware market turbulences, new ideas crisis, abundance of remakes and completely failed fresh new titles. Just Concord alone made 400 million losses, and few months later we had Highguard and so on. This is just the tip of an iceberg. In his letter, Tim Sweeney is mentioning that these layoffs are not AI related, and the global goal is to make more developers building great content, not fewer. Company's roadmap is unchanged: Fortnite seasonal content, live events, and transitions from Unreal Engine 5 and Unreal Editor for Fortnite to Unreal Engine 6. All terminated former employees will receive 4 months of basic pay, 6 months of healthcare coverage in US, and some other benefits typical for large companies. But to wrap up this news recap, I really want with some great news. 3D Models Org and Asset Marketplace just announced a new round of their regular CG challenges. This time it is called Renovation Challenge and it is in architectural field. Awesome competition atmosphere, lots of fun and competitors from around the world. Amazing awards, bonuses including cash prizes for the first 3 positions. Check their website for more details. The deadline for submissions is still June 9 this year. And this is all for March. Finally, this month was just insane. So many news reports coming from everywhere, so it became challenging to pick what will be included into this recap. Thank you for watching, leave your feedbacks in the comments below. See you around, bye.